My boys, we're halfway through the year already of 2025, and as fight fans, it wasn't exactly the big bad year that Uncle Dana was hyping up and that we were exactly hoping for, but we got some good scraps, and we got a lot of mid ones as well. Today, in the form of a tier list, baby, we're gonna be going over the best and the worst fights for the UFC so far, okay? A couple things to note before we get into this. First, I haven't watched most of these fights since they actually went down, okay? Since I actually was watching them live, I haven't gone back and rewatched most of them, so work with me here if I don't got every goddamn detail, okay? Another thing as well, we're going to be keeping the S tier and the A tier sacred. The S tier I'm just keeping for 3 fights max, and the A tier 3 or 4 fights max, okay? This is all going to be subjectively my opinion here. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fights that you want higher, you want lower. Just let me know in the comments below. Alright, so just getting into the first one we got here, man. Crute versus Roman Kopylov. This was the very first card of the year, okay? You know what? I'm putting this in the B tier. This was a solid scrap, nice back and forth, pretty high pace from the start. Crute is durable as all hell, and Roman Kopylov has some really exciting kickboxing, and we even saw a couple of really fun scrambles here. I'm putting it in the B tier, not necessarily higher, because the finish. Alright, the finish was a bit bullshit here. They just couldn't let Crute last those extra few seconds, man. I feel like that could have made me appreciate the fight more, and it was nice for Kopylov to get a finish, but man, it was kind of a little bullshit, okay? They should have let him keep scrapping a bit there. It was going to be Kopylov winning anyways. He won 2 of the 3 rounds, so another thing that holds me back from putting it higher. It didn't exactly have a lot of big moments that really stand out. It was more so just a high pace, nice brawl, and I'm going to be putting this one in the B tier, okay? Moving on up next here to what are we going to do with the main event of UFC 312, DDP versus Strickland 2. I'm putting this in the C tier, okay? Like, it was pretty solid to watch, but there were times where, like, you're just really realizing it was just DDP putting on a masterclass, okay? Strickland had nothing for him here. He was barely putting any pressure forward here. His coach was all pissed off afterwards. He was heavily on the back foot. Really, it was just these domination clinics like the 50-45 over DDP and other examples you might see here. It's not necessarily a great fight because I feel like in order for that, you kind of got to have a back and forth, and it really wasn't that. It was really just DDP controlling wherever the fucking fight went, dictating the flow and the pace right out of the get-go, okay? And showing levels to one of the best strikers for the division, and DDP went out there and pieced him the fuck up, rocked him and broke his nose in the 4th round. So there were exciting moments, okay? DDP focusing a bit more on the patience and technicality instead of the Looney Tune style that we're used to, but all things considered, it was solidly entertaining to watch, but I can't really call it a great fight because Strickland brought nothing in this one, okay? He just got beat up, and he just kind of just elevated DDP here and showed how much levels he improved just in the short time in a year from the last time they fought. So C tier, it was solid, but it was just a masterclass from DDP. Straying away from the Looney Tunes bullshit, okay? Moving on up next here to Ziam versus Mike Davis that went down for Saudi Arabia. I loved this fight, okay? Like, constant action, lots of really fun scrambles. I'm going to be putting this fight in the B tier. I really, really like this one. And man, I just feel like Ziam went out there and really showed how much of a well-rounded fighter he's becoming. I feel like when he was on the earlier days of his win streak, okay, really kind of just heavily focused on the patience and technicality, wasn't throwing that much volume, wasn't getting a lot of finishes, and then boom, he takes Matt Frivola's soul from him, okay, like the goddamn Grim Reaper, and then after that, he's fighting Mike Davis and putting on what should have been the fight of the night. It was fun as hell to watch. The grappling, he had just evolved so much, man, from what at least we were used to, you know what I mean? Like, guy, I believe it was like Claudio Puelles was going out there and doing whatever the fuck he wanted with Ziam on the ground a couple of years ago. So Ziam has made it night and day, really showing a lot of improvements. Davis, I don't know if it's the ring rust or whatever, he didn't necessarily have too much to bring here, but he still brought a heavy dog fight, and this fight was really fun, okay? Cool exchanges on the feet, but high-paced grappling and really entertaining to watch. I'm putting it in the B tier. I fucking loved it, man. Moving on up next to the same card, Shara versus MVP. This fight was disappointing as fuck. I gotta put it in the D tier. That might pain some people to say here, but man, it just wasn't fun. It just really, we all had this high expectation of like, oh, it's some of the 2 best strikers in the UFC pound for pound, man. So it's going to be nonstop fireworks, or it's going to be a great display of skill sets. And at the end of the day, Shara's a great striker and MVP's a great striker. But man, this fight was just a bit dull here. Like, Shara just could not figure out the range of MVP. He could not get into the pocket with him. I get it because MVP, his head movement is so slick. He has really good footwork. His speed in general, man, it's so fucking fast. One of the fastest motherfuckers we got, especially for these middleweight and welterweight divisions. So I just feel like maybe maybe it was our fault because we were setting the bar too high, but still, man, an MVP, man, he keeps having these things where we think it's going to go out there and he's going to put on a banger, and then you have the Gary fight, and then you have the Shara fight, and listen, I love MVP. The striking is really entertaining to watch, you know what I mean? And like, he is really impressive, but this fight was just disappointing, man. I gotta put it in the D tier. If you asked me before this fight started, I would have thought it'd be a goddamn A tier, but Shara just could not figure out MVP. It was a lot more hesitant than what we're used to. He still did throw solid value. I'm not just trying to make it seem like a Derek Lewis versus Ngannou thing here, but for what we thought this fight was going to be and how it ended up playing out, it's a rough one to rewatch, and there's really not too many memorable moments from it. It was just disappointing. It was a fucking bummer. It was a stinker, you might say, okay? It's unfortunately going to go in the D tier here. Moving on, up next to Yuri Prochazka versus Jamal Hill. I absolutely love this fight. I gotta put it in the A tier, the motherfucking elusive A tier here, okay? Back and forth war. The second round was a bit slow. I understand that, we had a couple of the points where I forgot what the fuck it was specifically, but the ref had to step in a couple of times. They had to take a couple breaks. That kind of slowed down the momentum of the fight. It was pretty high paced before that, but round 1 was fucking fire. Round 3 was fucking amazing. You know what I mean? Yuri Prochazka was rocking him. Jamal Hill as well wasn't afraid to get in the pocket with him. He was giving Yuri all his biggest shots, okay? This is absolutely what we wanted to see. It was great action. Big motherfucking power shots landed. Yuri was landing clean, and actually, let's go for that. I am improving, how I say, where I'm at on the spectrum. He was actually improving the head movement, man. So, and the strike and defense in general. So Yuri Prochazka making a little bit of improvements here. And Jamal Hill, say whatever the fuck you want about the guy, but he was not afraid to bring a dogfight as well. So this was absolutely entertainment for the fans. Ends in an absolutely devastating finish. I loved this fight. I'm going to put it in the A tier, brother. Moving on, up next from UFC 312, Jimmy Crute versus Rodolfo Bellato, okay? This is a draw, the only draw we have here on this list. It might have been the only fucking draw we had this year off the top of my head, but man, I'm going to be putting this one in the B tier. This was a scrap I did not think was going to be as fun as it was, but it was really entertaining. Jimmy Crute 10-8ing Bellato in the first round, and then he came back and making the fight a lot more competitive, and it's just... it's a classic thing where you had a classic grappler versus a classic knockout artist kind of matchup. It was really fun. It went above expectations, at least mine, at least. So I'm going to put this in the B tier. I enjoyed whatever the fuck I saw to this one, my boys. Moving on now to Chandler versus Pimblett for UFC 314. I'm going to put this one in the C tier as well. And the thing is, man, I did enjoy this. Okay, it was entertaining to watch. But the thing is, it was similar to the other one we got in the C tier here, where it was kind of just a domination clinic. Okay, it was more so of a masterclass performance. Paddy Pimblett's coming out party. Lord Michael Chandler, send the fucking wolves next to your little bum of a thing. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing there. It was entertaining, and Pimblett going out there and really beating him the fuck up with devastating ground and pound. I think it was the second round, or it might have been the third specifically. Busting open Chandler's whole face. You could see his chromosomes in there specifically. He's not working with much, all right? The chrome dome's a little empty, but in general, Michael Chandler just got beat the fuck up, okay? He did have a couple of moments, especially earlier on in the fight, but it just wasn't anything too crazy here. Entertaining to watch, but it was just domination from Pimblett, and because of that, it's not necessarily a great back and forth fight here, so I'm going to put in the C tier. Moving on now to Alex Pereira versus Magomedov Ankalaev, bro. Another stinker, my boys. Another one that we thought it was going to be fireworks or at least semi-entertaining, and it just fucking wasn't. I got to put in the D tier, okay? This one was just boring to watch at times, and that is just undeniably, I got to put in one of the lower tiers. Don't get me wrong, the end of the second round where Ankalaev rocked him, that was fun, and there was a couple of moments where they were going back and forth a bit. It was impressive to see how much Alex Pereira's takedown defense has really grown. So don't get me wrong, it was impressive to see. Seeing Ankalaev piece him the fuck up was interesting, but man, this fight, I'd be lying and trying to just be some fake hardcore if I said it was a fun fight to watch, okay? There were times I was just straight up bored, and that's disappointing when you have guys that in Alex Pereira who's entertaining as fuck, and Ankalaev who's kind of underratedly entertaining. So this one was a stinker, man. Fire did not meet fire here. Just kind of a letdown for... I feel like, man, this was one of the fights we were really looking forward to this year, okay? We were talking about this fight for fucking ever, and for this to just be it... it didn't necessarily even have to end in a finish. That's not what I'm asking here, but it just wasn't anything great to watch, man. Okay, so moving on, up next, unfortunately got to put that in the D tier. Let's go with Sergey Pavlovich versus Lorenzo Rozenstruik. F tier immediately, alright? I'm sorry, alright? But usually when these heavyweights are going to decisions, it's usually nothing too great to watch. Sometimes it is, but this, my friends, was a bunch of bullshit. Okay, went down for the Saudi Arabia card. I understand that Pavlovich did rock him here and there, but there was points where they actually got to the ground. Didn't fucking expect that, but... This fight was boring. It was dull, not a lot of high output, and again, besides the couple of moments where Pavlovich kind of rocked him, it just wasn't anything, man. It was very just disappointing. We thought it was going to be fireworks. I see you're noticing maybe a trend here with the fights I'm putting in the D tier and the F tier. We thought it was going to be great, and it ends up being fucking shite. So Pavlovich and Rozenstruik went the distance. Was not anything great to watch here, man, okay? It's a win for Pavlovich. Great to see him back in the win column, but at what motherfucking cost? And literally, Rozenstruik's out of the UFC after that one. He shouldn't be. It was absolute bullshit. They released him, and they offered him less pay to come back. Whatever the fuck, okay? But they cut Rozenstruik after this one, even though he was still in the top 10. And for Pavlovich, yes, he got back in the win column, but it was one of those safety wins, okay? He was really being a lot more patient than we were used to seeing, and he really was applying a lot better fight IQ. He was just kind of afraid to get in the pocket, it seemed like. He was afraid to follow up with actual combinations, and when he did kind of capitalize on shit, he didn't really do much with it, so a little bit disappointing for Pavlovich. It was one of those safety wins where he was just trying to get back in the win column, okay? Not great for the fans, and it is what it is, man, okay? I'm putting this one in the F tier, unfortunately. Moving on up next to Rongzhu versus Cody Steele. This went down for UFC 312. I'm putting this in the A tier. Absolute stand and bang war. This fight was the fucking definition of that just bleed, motherfucker. You know what I'm talking about? This is full violence on display here, man. Stand and bang, absolute war. And then these two are just going out there, very high output, rocking each other, okay? Immediately from the start, it's like guns a motherfucking blazing. So absolutely entertaining to watch. Off the top of my head, I don't remember any like specific details about like, oh, this guy went here, this guy, blah, 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 blah. I don't fucking know, all right? I haven't rewatched it since, but this fight, I was screaming out of my goddamn seat. At the end, they were kind of just standing there screaming at each other. It is what it is. It looked cool for the pictures, but I kind of wish they finished it up and really just started slugging. But we got 15 minutes of it, so I'm not going to complain. This was absolutely an amazing fight. One of those early prelim hidden gems, and I'm really glad I fucking watched this one, boys. It was really fun to watch. Cody Steele had his first loss ever, and Rongzhu showing motherfucking levels. An experience level for sure here. So Rongzhu pieced him the hell up. Cody Steele brought in a dogfight scenario. I love to see it, man. Steele was primarily a wrestler going into this and was barely shooting any takedowns. Low fight IQ from him. All right, I kind of wish he kind of did mix it up. Might have gotten him the win there, but you know what? It came at the cost of this fight. This was absolutely fantastic to watch. Not that you can't mix it up and still have a fun fight. You absolutely can, but this was not that. It was a stand and bang war here, and I appreciate it for everything it was. I'm putting it in the A tier, man. Moving on up next to Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong. I'm going to put it as like a low B. Like, listen, it was fun while it lasted, but the stoppage does kind of put a stain on it, man. Like, the whole 5 minutes of Henry Cejudo just sitting there like, get the fuck out of here with that. And then for the way to end it did, Seattle was having a fantastic fight night full of bangers and full of finishes. And this fight was fun while it lasted, but I'm going to put it as like a low B. Because it was good, it was fun to watch, you know what I mean? A lot of good striking on display here. Cejudo was landing pretty clean, but Song Yadong was piecing him the hell up as well. It was fun while it lasted, but the fucking finish, man, just really just sits wrong with me there. It just kind of puts a stain on it. It's not a way that you want to end a fantastic card, and especially a good main event like that. So I'm going to put it as like a low B here, man. Moving on up next to Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev, the rematch here that went down for UFC 313. I'm going to put it in the B tier as well. This was a good scrap. It was really interesting to see Fiziev on the offensive end of the grappling for a lot of this. That was a nice change of pace, and I'm putting this in the B tier and not a lot higher. I know a lot of people love this fight, and it is a good fight. The B tier is a good thing, but in general, man, like this fight, did we really need this? This was a rematch that we didn't really need, and I respect Fiziev for taking the fight on short notice and giving Gaethje a replacement opponent, okay, but we just didn't need it, man. It was another 29-28. The first one ended 29-28. I understand this fight was pretty different, but at the same time, man, it just kind of felt like a repeat. And once that kind of halfway mark through the fight hit, you could definitely tell that the pace had slowed down a lot. So it was a good fight, entertaining for sure. Both guys had great moments, but it just felt very similar, especially in terms of the outcome to the first. So it kind of just left me questioning if we even needed this in the first place. It was a great thing to watch, and I respect Fiziev for giving Gaethje an opponent and saving the card, but I don't know, nothing too crazy or too memorable, but still good and entertaining at the same time. I'm going to put it in the B tier, man. Moving on, up next here to Michel Pereira versus Abus Magomedov. I could put this one in the D tier because it did slow down heavily as fuck, and there were moments in that third round where Abus Magomedov could have capitalized and maybe got a finish, but he was so goddamn exhausted to the point where he didn't follow up on any big shots. So I'll put in the C tier though. The first round was great. Second round slowed down a bit, and third round I just fucking said, it is what it is, man, okay? The fight was just continuously on a downwards trend. Both these guys are Mr. Cardiac Arrest here. So I don't know, man. It was a battle of who had the worst cardio here. Michel Pereira was just being very overly defensive, you know what I mean? Like, we're used to him throwing much more output, kind of aiming to look for a finish there. But I get it, because he wanted to apply better fight IQ. He wanted to be more patient and technical so he could actually make it to the distance, okay? But if you're just going out there and getting beat up for the first 2 rounds and barely throwing anything and just taking all of his biggest shots, it just seemed a bit too late for the comeback. You know what I mean? So this was a win for Magomedov here. A nice one at that. And I'm going to put in the C tier because it did have some entertaining moments. But I don't know. There were moments where these guys could have went the fuck forward, but they just didn't. Maybe out of fear of gassing out, or they already were gassed out. Michel Pereira was just not showing great fight IQ in this one, man. It seemed like there was just a specific moment he was waiting for in the fight where he just flipped a switch and he's like, okay, now I got to win. Should have been doing that from the start, but not necessarily having to exhaust yourself doing it. You know what I mean? So it was a fine fight. It was pretty solid, entertaining moments, but nothing too crazy here. And I was thinking about putting it in the D tier, but it was solid enough to where I'll give it some saving grace, okay? Maybe like the bottom of C. Moving on, up next to Alonzo Menifield versus Julius Walker. I'm going to put this one in the C tier as well, okay? And here's the thing. It was a good scrap. I enjoyed watching it. It was a nice back and forth. These motherfuckers were hitting hard, okay? Respect to Julius Walker. I'm pretty sure he was a fucking former basketball player just a few years ago, so all due respect to him for getting into this shit. But man, this fight, I just remember hearing about it, and I think I got the fight of the night bonus, and everybody was talking about how it was like such a great fight, one of the best fights I've ever motherfucking seen, and I just didn't think it was all that. Okay, like, it was a good scrap, it was solid, it was entertaining, but just very sloppy at times, and there were some moments where it was just a lot better to watch than others, and I don't know, I'm gonna put it in the C tier, a strong C, because it was entertaining, nice back and forth. But I just didn't think this fight, like, I don't know what the fuck I was missing, but everybody was really hyping it up, and I just didn't feel, I guess, the same level of emotion. It was good, but you know what I'm fucking saying. Moving on, up next to Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. I really want to put this one in the A tier, but I'm not going to because simply it was too short, brother. Okay, this was really only a 1-round fight. Randy Brown knocked him the fuck out within like the first minute or two of the second round. Man, this one was exciting though. I'm going to put it in the B tier, a nice motherfucking B, a great back and forth. Randy Brown is one of the most underrated motherfuckers on the entire roster. Nicholas Dalby was setting a heavy pace from the start. His nose got broken within the first couple of minutes and it was already shifting all the way to the side. When they had to go back in between rounds, they put it back into place. That was badass as fuck to see. And Dalby rocked Brown and got him down at the end of the first, and Brown came back, man, and then knocked his ass out cold. One of the best knockouts of this year, and just a fantastic knockout in general from Randy Brown. What a way to end the fight. Very high paced, great striking on display, and when the fight did get to the ground, it was entertaining as well. I loved this fight, man. A great heavy scrap, high energy. The crowd was loving it, and that second round was one of the best rounds of the entire year, just specifically, you know what I mean? So Brown versus Dalby, the only crime, it just was a little bit too short for me to put it higher. We just didn't get too much. It was like a 7-minute fight in total. So loved it while it lasted though. Great finish from Randy Brown, and Nicholas Dalby is a motherfucking dog, bro. Okay, great in the dogfight scenario here. Love this one. Moving on up next now to Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. Especially me as a huge Volk fan, this one in my heart pumping out of my goddamn chest. I'm putting this as the first S tier here. All right, this was a fantastic 5-round fight. We begin some really good title fights this year, as I'm gonna get into in a second here. But man, Volk versus Lopes was a goddamn treat. Lopes, even though he did get kind of, I don't want to say dominated, but he did lose 49-46. Okay, so at the end of the day, that kind of speaks for itself. But man, rocking Volkanovski in that second round and the fourth round. But Volkanovski showing a bit of levels of experience here, showing that he's one of the best wrestlers and one of the best strikers in the UFC, baby. Okay, Volkanovski showing as always how well-rounded his skill set is. Was not afraid to get into the pocket besides that 5th round, man. So he was making it a bit of a dogfight as well. Lopes always brings a high pace, and he's really well-rounded as well. So Lopes, man, he brought fought the dogfight, and he really tried to take Volk's fucking head off. But Volkanovski, man, just showed that he's a different level. We love to see the comeback story. The 5th round, say whatever the fuck you want. Oh, Volkanovski was running away. Oh, he was just trying to secure the win. You're goddamn right, okay? The first 4 rounds were really fucking entertaining. The 5th round, I get it. You can say whatever the fuck you want, jabroni. But man, if I'm up against a guy and I'm coming off of 2 straight knockouts in a row, brutally, hell yeah, I'm doing the exact same fucking thing. He made it a show for the fans. He made it entertaining, okay? Without even trying. It was just a great fight in general. Nice back and forth. But man, Lopes, he knew that he was down in the scorecards. He knew he needed a finish, and he knew he had the power to do it. So he was really trying to take out Volkanovski in the 5th, but Volkanovski was too elusive on the feet, man. Nice on the back foot, and it's just, this was a great fight from start to finish. As a huge Volkanovski fan, had me scared of motherfucking death. And Lopes, man, all due respect to him. It was a great scrap here. I'm putting it in the S tier. Really high level technical striking on display, but a lot of high stakes and a lot of power shots involved as well. Okay, so love this fight. Very well-rounded fighters here. I'm putting in the S tier, man. Moving on up next to Sodiq Yusuff versus Marion Santos. I'm going to put this in the C tier. It was solid, you know what I mean? But it just didn't have a lot of those like big moments. It wasn't any crazy back and forth. It was really just Santos piecing him the fuck up, showing that he's been improving in the clinch and on the ground, okay? And his striking in general, man. This guy is slick as fuck. He's fast as fuck, and he hits hard. Dynamic as fuck on the feet. Very Anderson Silva-esque. So, man, I did enjoy this fight. It was solid, but I'm going to put it in the C tier because it was really lacking in big moments. It wasn't the craziest pace in the world. Sodiq Yusuff was kind of just showing low fight IQ and low output a lot of the time when, you know, you got to keep that into account. You know what I'm fucking saying? So Santos, it was a great performance from him, but Sodiq Yusuff just got beat the fuck up. Did have a couple of moments here and there. I understand he was coming off a big time off, but it is what it is, man. Solid scrap, but nothing too crazy or memorable or worth rewatching. You know what I mean? I'm going to put it in the C tier here. Moving on up next to most recently, Merab versus O'Malley for UFC 316. I'm going to put this in the B tier. I really liked this fight. The first 2 rounds were a great back and forth. We were really seeing how much Merab's striking has improved, and it's come motherfucking far, my boys, okay? And O'Malley, he was still in it, man. Slipped a couple of times in the first round. Merab was really beating him the fuck up. Like, Merab taking a round off of O'Malley, but just purely based off the striking alone, was the craziest thing to see. Was not on my motherfucking bingo card, all right? But here we are, and Merab went out there. The 3rd round was a bit slower. I mean, it was a lot slower compared to the first 2 rounds, okay? But to end in a submission, and Merab's first submission in the UFC, man, and after all this improvements from O'Malley we've been hearing about, and how he stopped gooning, and how he stopped smoking, and how he's fully dialed in, for him to get submitted, man, by Merab, who's absolutely the bantamweight GOAT, it was a nice way to end the fight, even as someone who had money on O'Malley, all right? I can't deny that I was impressed as fuck by Merab, and this fight in general, even with the 3rd round, man, it was a really fun fight. I enjoyed it for what it was, entertaining striking, and Merab just showing he's a fucking dog on the ground, man. Picking up O'Malley and trying to send him to the fucking moon and then submitting him in the 3rd. It was great to see. I like to see the urgency from Merab, and hopefully we could see it against Sandhagen and shit like that. You know what I mean? So I'm putting this fight as a strong B. I really did enjoy it. Moving on up next, I mean, speaking of Merab here, Merab versus Umar Nurmagomedov, okay? I was going to put this one in the A at first, but you know what? All things considered, because I remember when I first watched UFC 311, I remember enjoying Prochazka versus Hill more, but these are 2 of the fights that I did actually go back and I have rewatched them, and man, I think I enjoy Merab versus Umar enough to where I'm going to put in the S tier, okay? Like, just a great storyline going into it, and I'm not counting that as part of the criteria here, but man, it just adds to it when you see Merab really taking over and really just showing how dominant his wrestling can be and how efficient it is. The takedown defense is something beautiful. The striking has been improving. He was not afraid at all to get in the pocket with Umar, who had the clear fucking striking advantage, okay? Very dynamic style, really good kicks, solid pop behind his shots, and for Merab to go out there, not afraid to get in the pocket, landing some clean right hooks, and just in general, moving the fuck forward, controlling the pace. Umar took the first 2 rounds. 3rd round was pretty close, but Merab ultimately won it. And then the 4th and 5th, Merab just taking the fuck over, shucking him off and showboating, really selling himself. Man, this was a fantastic fight. Okay, very high level shit on display. High level grappling, high level striking. Well, okay, it's hard to say with Merab. All right, but you know what I'm fucking saying, man. In general, you could tell that this is just the epitome of what a title fight should be, okay? Doesn't always have to end in some flashy finish or some bullshit like that. This was just a great fight, a great pace, the cardio machine Merab gassing out Umar, who does have solid cardio in his own right. I loved this fight, dude. All right, enough where I'm going to put it in the S tier here. Moving on up next now to Valentina Shevchenko versus Menifield. I gotta put this one in the F tier, boys. Okay, this was just a snooze fest. This was a fucking stinker. Nothing to be proud of here. It's one of those WMMA co-main events that you gotta fucking sit through, and it sucked ass, okay? This is no Whaley versus Suarez or something like that. This fight sucked. I'm not gonna lie. Nothing against Shevchenko, nothing against Fiorot. There were definitely some more entertaining moments than others, but this fight was just dull throughout. It was low paced. There weren't any really entertaining moments at all. It was kind of just Shevchenko beat her in the fuck up. You could argue it was a 3-2, and that Fiorot did take 2 rounds off her, but in general, 315 was a very underratedly good card. The prelims were fun, main card was fun until this point, and the main event we'll get to in a second here, it was fantastic. But for this to be the snooze stink of a motherfucking co-main that we had to sit through, man, it really did drag down the momentum of the card. And that, my friend, is unforgivable, all right? We're going to put it in the F tier here, man. I mean, talking about the main event, Belal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. Hey, I went against the game plan, I'm one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. I'm trying to be the next GSP. Yeah, shut your ass up, stupid motherfucker, Belal Muhammad, Belal Muhammad coming out afterwards once he lost the belt, saying how all the bullshit about how he avoided the game plan and how he just wanted to make it a fun fight, man. I think that JDM's grappling really did evolve that much, and he just was that good, and he clearly was the better man that night. Regardless, though, my whole point with this, I tip my Ben Askren for you, Belal Muhammad, man. Okay, this was a fantastic fight. I'm going to put it as one of the very elite A tiers here, man. I love this fight, dude. Okay, Belal Muhammad just making it kind of a striking battle in the first 2 rounds, and then rounds 3, 4, 5. Yes, he was trying to mix it up, but JDM, man, the work he's put in to just be so efficient with his takedown defense, his defensive grappling in general, man, so that even when Belal did get him down a few times, he was so efficient to where he's back up on his feet within 15 to 20 seconds, man. So JDM really showing how much he's evolved. I feel like he's a dangerous champion that could be on top for a while. He went from being the underdog against Belal, and now people think it's a 50-50 fight against Islam Makhachev. So it goes to show how great of a performance it was from JDM, and just again, respect to Belal, because it was a really fun fight. It was really high paced. The striking was entertaining as fuck. JDM was just not afraid at all of what Belal was throwing at him. Like, yes, Belal was piecing him up at times, okay? He did win a round or maybe 2. I personally thought it was 49-46 JDM, but Belal Muhammad, his striking is good. It's underrated boxing. He's a good pressure fighter, but in general, JDM, he knew that Belal Muhammad wasn't going to finish him. He wasn't impressed by the power, and Belal Muhammad, if he did have power and he did have finishing ability, I feel like he could have maybe won this fight. He would have given someone JDM to not move the fuck forward as much for it. You know what I mean? Show actual risk, but Belal Muhammad lacks the power, and I feel like that's kind of what came to bite him in the ass here. But don't get me wrong, entertainment from Belal. He was really throwing high output, striking battle for the first 2 rounds, and the grappling was entertaining for the 3rd, 4th, 5th. Great performance from JDM. I'm putting this one in the A tier. Sucks the way to sit through Shevchenko and Fiorot before it, but it is what it is, brother, okay? Moving on up next now to Jeremy Stephens versus Mason Jones. I'm going to put this one in the B tier as well, okay? I did enjoy this fight, and this is the only fight on this list I actually got to see live. I was there for UFC Iowa, so I did have a bit of a weird perspective. Okay, you're looking up at the screen, and then you're looking down, and then you're looking up at the screen, and then you're looking down, but in general, man, I really did enjoy this, okay? The 3rd round obviously was the slowest of them all, and the most dull, I guess, if you do want to call it that, because Mason Jones knew he was ahead on the scorecards. He knew Stephens was going to try and take his motherfucking lights out in the 3rd, but he just kind of did rely heavily on the wrestling. A bit of a smudge fest, but I understand why he did it. I'm not going to hold it against him. It's his UFC debut, and he's going against a knockout artist. I understand it, okay? Well, not debut. Return, I guess I should. Both these guys were returning. You know what I'm fucking saying, though. So I get why he did it. Really wanted to secure the win. And it's fair to say because the first 2 rounds were fun as fuck, bro. It was a really cool back and forth. Jeremy Stephens, you could tell he's just up there in age. You could tell he was kind of just swinging for the fences. Mason Jones is actually, in his time outside the UFC, has been racking up wins, developing high-level experience. Not high-level, but you know what I'm fucking saying. It really did show a bit of a skill set difference here, man. And Jeremy Stephens was kind of relying on the knockout and landing all the big shots. It was an entertaining fight, but Mason Jones has just done so much in the meantime. He's the younger and faster fighter here, and the smarter one, sharper one. He had a lot of the edges here. It was a really fun fight. 3rd round was slow. It is what it is. I can't blame him. Putting this in the B tier. Moving on up next to Yusuff Salal versus Calvin Kattar. I do want to preface this, okay? it actually was, the first 2 rounds at the very least, a good performance from Zalal. He's very quick. He's got solid precision. You know what I mean? Good timing. The striking, it was looking clean. It was good. But that 3rd round, my brother, is unforgivable, okay? Calvin Kattar should have gotten the fuck after it way sooner. I understand that Zalal's running away in the 3rd round. He's getting way too much shit for it. But, man, I got to put this in the D tier, okay? I got to put it in the D tier because Zalal just kind of did make it a bit of a stinker in the 3rd. And it was a bit, I don't want to say embarrassing, just disappointing to see in that 3rd round, man. And Kattar was trying to get the fuck after it way too late. Zalal, I do commend him because his striking is good. He's solidly well-rounded, you know what I mean? But this fight was not anything super fun, man. It had a bunch of the fans bitching afterwards, and I understand why. I think Zalal was getting way too much shit because I think the guy's got a solid personality, and I think that he is a good striker. I was impressed with what I was seeing out of him in those first 2 rounds, but man, that people only remember that 3rd round, and that's really what's standing out to them. So this fight as a whole, I'm going to put in the D tier, man. Just disappointing to watch from a fan's perspective here. Even with how I am impressed by Zalal, I think he can go solidly far for the division. I can't forgive this, brother. I can't forgive this. You got to put a Mario Batista redemption arc up next for your next performance here, man. Moving on up next to Killian Salkield versus Yanal Aushmatz for UFC 316. I'm putting this in the C tier as well. A solid C tier, though. This was a good fight. I enjoyed it for what it was. The reason I'm not going to put it any higher is because it mostly was just domination from Salkield. Like the first 2 rounds, man, it was entertaining scrambles and grappling on display, but Killian Salkield showing why he's so fucking well-rounded. This dude is literally comfortable on the feet, on the ground. He's only 25, man. The future is fucking bright for this guy, okay? But man, that 3rd round, Aushmatz was fucking rocking him a bit there. He almost kind of had him out of there, you could argue, if he was just kind of following up a bit more, or if Salkield wasn't that good on the feet, or he didn't have that good of a chin. Aushmatz could have taken him out of there, okay? But Salkield is that good. Again, like a lot of these fights in the C tier, it was just a bit of a domination, so I can't really put it any higher, but I did enjoy this one. It was fun to watch. Killian Salkield making the grappling entertaining, and Aushmatz bringing a heavy pace on the feet. I thought it would have been the complete opposite, so it is what it is. It was an interesting fight to watch, a prelim gem right there. I enjoyed this one. Moving on up next now to Mateusz Gamrot versus Ludovic Klein. I gotta put this in the D tier. Okay, now don't get me wrong, I'll put this as a motherfucking D+. I actually semi-enjoyed this one. I was solidly pretty entertained at times, but you can't deny the first 2 rounds, they were a bit of just boring from Gamrot here. Not a lot of urgency to finish or anything like that. The 3rd round was a nice back and forth, and Gamrot was not afraid to land clean and land heavy. These guys were going back and forth in the pocket. Ludovic Klein was actually landing a lot of big shots. It was definitely his best round of the fight by far because he knew he kind of had to stuff a lot of the takedowns if he was going to even try and get a finish here and try, because the finish was his only way to get into victory here. Gamrot was beating them the fuck up in those first 2 rounds, and I wouldn't necessarily say I was bored during this one. Like, there were times Pereira versus Zenk, I was bored. Zalal versus Kattar, it was frustrating to watch, okay? This one, I'll put it the D+ because, like, I was solidly entertained at times, okay? Gamrot is very fucking impressive on the ground. This dude is a motherfucking demon down there, and his striking is very underrated. So I kind of did enjoy this fight, so maybe I should put it higher, but the first 2 rounds, man, they weren't anything crazy. I feel like I'm just kind of coping here, okay? It was more so a boring fight than not a boring fight, and for that, I'm going to put in the D tier, but one of the best in the D. All right, I got to put my respect to it. So moving on up next now to Jared Cannonier versus Gregory Rodriguez. This one might be controversial, all right, but I'm putting it in the S tier. I genuinely do believe this is a top 3 fight this year, man. Say whatever the fuck you want. The only crime is this shit was in the goddamn apex, because this was a great back and forth war. They were both rocking each other. Rodriguez was starting fucking strong in that first round, but for Cannonier to show the high level experience difference and showing that this ain't my first main event, motherfucker, all right? I'm not losing to 3 prospects in a row, and he went out there and started beating him up in the second. The 3rd round was a lot closer, definitely the slowest of the fight. But then the end of the 3rd, man, not even the end of the 3rd, the whole second half of the 3rd, I can't even call the round slow. It was just slower compared to the rest of the very high-paced action than what we saw. Both these guys were rocking each other hard, and at the end of the 3rd, man, Cannonier taking down Rodriguez, landed a nasty fucking elbow, and started beating him up brutally with ground and pound, opening up the 4th, all right? He knew that he was motherfucking smelling blood in the water, and took out Rodriguez within the first minute. This was high-paced, high action. Rodriguez had great moments and was landing clean and motherfucking hard. Cannonier was doing the exact same thing and was trying to mix it up on the ground as well. This fight had everything, dude. Literally fucking everything. I absolutely loved it, and it ended in a fucking insane finish, okay? I'm going to put this one in the S tier, and I'm going to stand my base with it. I really enjoyed this one, man. Moving on up next to Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg here. I gotta put this in the D tier, man. Okay, I know a lot of people were upset about the decision. I think that personally it was 29-28 for Oberg. I get why people had Blachowicz winning. I could see it, but I'm not counting the decision as part of why I'm putting it this low. This one kind of just felt like a sparring match here, okay? Like, I don't got too much to say about it. It was barely memorable to me at all. I just remember being just bored fucking watching this one, man. Oberg, once he got to the top 10, you know what I mean? The Ozdemir fight was fine. It was solid. It was a pretty good scrap, but this one was just a lot slower, a lot less output. I wasn't too impressed here. I get it because Carlos Oberg, you know, like when you get up to this top 10, man, you have to kind of be a lot more smart with it. You can't always just be looking for the finish, okay? I fucking stand that, but I was just a bit let down by this fight, man. It just felt a bit slow. Blachowicz coming back after a huge layoff, and obviously he's like 42 years old or some crazy shit like that. So obviously he wasn't going to hit as hard as he used to. He wasn't going to be as quick. And Oberg being on the rise, and this is a massive step up for him. He did what he had to do to secure the win. It was an impressive performance, I guess you could say, you know what I mean? Like, for him to really cement himself in the top 5 and beating a former champ like Blachowicz, that's great, but you kind of knew that if this fight went down 2 years ago, Oberg would not be the big favorite, okay? He would have been the massive fucking underdog, and Blachowicz probably would have beat him the hell up. So it's just one of those father time was the real winner here things. It just kind of felt like a sparring match at times, and it wasn't anything too crazy. Not one for the books or one to rewatch here, and I feel bad for Blachowicz here. Moving on to the last one we got here, Aldo versus Zahabi. I'm putting this in the B tier. I really enjoyed this fight. It was a lot of people complained about a robbery afterwards, but it was not a motherfucking robbery, brother, okay? The first round, Aldo started out strong, was heavily piecing him up, okay? Was outstriking him, landing clean. Zahabi didn't have much for him, okay? Round 2, kind of a nice back and forth. Aldo was landing solidly, but Zahabi, I feel like, landed the better shots, the bigger shots, and he was heavily much more the pressure fighter, so I had it round 2 for Zahabi. And the third round, Jesus Christ, Jose Aldo giving the soccer kicks of all motherfucking soccer kicks. I thought Zahabi's head was going to go flying, and GSP would catch it in his arms, for Christ's sake. So it was great to see Zahabi bounce back from that adversity, but it was also great to see Aldo kind of almost have him out of there. It was constant excitement, and then for Zahabi to just beat him the fuck up brutally with ground and pound for the last 3 or 4 minutes of that round. It was fucking devastating to watch. It was brutal, but in the best way possible. This fight had a lot of good back and forth. Both these guys almost finished each other. Okay, it was impressive moments from both. Good striking on display. I did enjoy this fight. A lot of people were bitching about the stoppage, but I feel like it still was a good scrap, man. You know what I mean? I'm going to stand my base on this one. I really did enjoy this fight. I'm going to put it as a solid B tier. Good striking, good back and forth, almost finished each other. I fucking love to see it, man. And that is going to be it, boys, for this clusterfuck of a video here. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Which fights do you think I missed out on? Which ones should I put higher? Which ones should I put lower? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Which one were the certified bangers and which ones fucking sucked and hopefully we forget, okay? Let me know in the comments below. Would absolutely love to hear it. All the smoke here, and as usual, boys, thank you so very much for giving me your time and attention, okay? Please give this video a like. Please hit subscribe. It'd be endlessly appreciated. But in general, thank you so very much for watching this video and making it this far. It means the fucking world to me. All the smoke here. We got a really good UFC Atlanta card for this weekend. Excited as fuck for it. Hope you guys enjoy it, man. Okay, watch it by yourself. Watch it with your buddies. Who gives a fuck, my brother? Enjoy the fights. Appreciate you all a lot. All the smoke here. Hope you guys have a good one, and I will see you all next time.